Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hitbox Challenger Face-Off, rather. It is the second best of 3 of the day, and it is Gamers2 versus SK Prime. SK Prime are unfortunately playing with 2 substitutes, which are Taiki instead of Trashy and Barney D instead of Hiva, if I am correct. On the other side, it is, of course, Gamers2 with their fan favorite, Mr. Ocelot, and their new support, Kasing, who just left Super Hot Crew to join Gamers2.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about these picks and bans. The first big one here that I'm not surprised to see at all is the Lee Sin. Obviously, Ku is just ridiculously good on him, and everyone knows it, so banning that makes a lot of sense. The rest of the bans, I don't think they're particularly too targeted. They're just very meta picks at the moment. Irelia, Zillion, Maokai, and Gnar are all extremely strong, both in competitive play and solo queue currently, so not surprised to see those. We'll have to see what ends up being the last ban here. Would not surprise me if it was a mid laner like Syndra or maybe Fizz, both very strong at the moment. Have to see what they decide to go for. They're just letting their time tick down, making sure they've thought through their decision as carefully as possible. And it is going to be a Zed, so a mid laner. Admittedly not one of the ones I thought it would be, but see, Gamers2 has first pick this game. There's a lot of contestable champions that they could go for here. We'll have to see which one they decide to pick up. Obviously, all of the strong AD carries are still available, many of the strong mid laners. Be interesting to see what they pick. Jarvan 4 is available. He's very strong in the current metagame as a jungler, and he's a relatively safe first pick for a team to go, so Gamers2 might consider picking that up. And they're taking a long time on their decision. You know that they really want to make sure they pick something that's good.
Seems to be the Lucian here, which is indeed what they're going to lock in, so they will be having that one in the bottom lane. On the other side, Beansu and Jace Leskinen, if I'm pronouncing that one correctly, are going to pick up their champions. On the side of SK Prime, obviously SK Prime are playing with a heavily broken up lineup here, so it may be a very, very tough matchup for them, but we'll see what they manage to do here.
Well, I mean, on the flip side, Kasing was only just picked up by Gamers2, so they won't have integrated him fully into their team lineup either. Having said that, I do think you're right, it is a disadvantage to play with substitute players like this, and having 2 of them when you're playing against a team as well regarded as Gamers2 is a little bit intimidating, so it'll be interesting to see if their subs can live up to expectations here. Jace and Janna being hovered over at the moment. I like the Janna pickup, as you're not likely to see too much of an all-in lane coming out of the Lucian pick. However, picking the Jace this early, we saw how badly that has impacted other teams in this tournament earlier on today. Playing Ducks picked that up extremely early in their first game and weren't really able to use it properly due to that, so it's interesting to see that pick up in their first rotation. And now, obviously, Gamers2 has their second rotation here. They know what the middle lane probably and the support are going to be. Jarvan 4 would be a great pickup here. Not surprised to see that instantly locked, and Nami being the next pickup. Nami versus Janna is a very skill-based bot lane. Both supports can deal with each other relatively well, so it's a nice pickup there. I have to see what the second rotation brings from SK Prime.
Yeah, Goldbro and Steelbackmaker are going to lock in their champions for now. Steelbackmaker hovering over the Fiora. I have a suspicion it may not be the Fiora in this case, as he does switch that one out to the Corki. And Goldbro on the other side, Rengar right now, which we did see in the last series, where it was very, very impactful.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen time and time again across not just this tournament, but lots of tournaments in recent times, Rengar being a force to be reckoned with. His ganks are ridiculously powerful. He brings so much damage, in addition to some crowd control and the fact that he can pass through some warding paths with that Thrill of the Hunt. So, very, very powerful pickup. I'm excited to see if they can put that to good use. Corki, again, another pick that we saw really dominating both of the games we saw him in earlier on today. He just does so much damage. A large part of the reason why it's so strong is it's early game AoE damage from an AD carry that actually does quite a lot. And if he can group people up in that, skirmishes can go so badly wrong for the enemy team. So it's a good pickup. It's arguably the second best AD carry alongside Lucian right now. I'm not surprised to see that being their choice at all. And now looking over to Gamers2, they still need to pick up their mid laner and their top laner. And at the moment, it looks like they're hovering over a few options. Obviously, there are still a fairly hefty number of mid laners and top laners left available in the pool, more mid laners than top laners, but I have to see what they decide to go for. It is going to be Ari and Victor! Wow! I did not see that one coming.
So that would mean it's going to be a Victor top lane then, I assume. That's going to be interesting, I guess. Barney D hovering over the Veigar and the Talon. Let's see what he is going to lock in here. They still need a top lane champion at the moment. Wukong would be sensible, and Shen also still available. Of course, Shen is not something we do see a lot these days, but it is on the board, so I guess why not? But he's just trolling me at this point, so I'm going to... Yep.
Kassadin would be a good pickup here, I think. The anti-magic shield he now gets from his Q is going to be quite strong against the double AP composition. And he also has a lot of mobility to deal with the fact that Jarvan and Ahri can really stick on him, especially with the boosts that Nami will provide in those fights.
Yeah, so it is indeed going to be the Kassadin top there, and the Jace mid. Victor top on the other side, Kassadin Victor top. That is an double AP composition here for Gamers2. On the other side, they are running with the AD in the mid lane and the AP in the top lane.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting game. I definitely think that Gamers2 has a great team fight this game, especially with Victor. I mean, it's not something we see often, but one of his strengths is the fact that his ultimate is absolutely ridiculous. It actually does some of the highest damage in the entire game if it's a full channel. And having that AoE silence could be a big deal if they try and catch out Binsu's Kassadin or Jace's Rengar. So it'll be interesting to see if they can make the most use of that possible. On the flip side, we see SK Prime running a very good composition for catching people out and getting picks. They've got a lot of mobility and also the ability to instant kill people very quickly. If Jace and Binsu gang up on someone, they're probably going to die in the early to mid game. We've also got Godbro coming in, adding his sort of immediate burst damage to those picks, and that's going to be a very strong combination. So really, if the game lasts long enough, it's going to be all about keeping the vision control up so that you don't get caught out by SK Prime, and on the flip side, it's going to be about denying vision so you can catch people out on Gamers2.
Regardless, though, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to head into a quick commercial break. Once we come back, it's going to be G2 versus SKP for the first match of this best of 3 series on Summoner's Rift.
Pinball. Let's play pinball. Pinball. mode. Enabled. 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 Mode enabled. Turbo mode enabled. Let's play pinball. Pinball.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Challenger Face-Off number 2, G2 versus SKP here for the first match of this series. And both of these teams fanning out, so I'm assuming there's not a lot of aggression going to happen here.
Yeah, I can't imagine that either team really wants to do that. Neither of them have a lot of early game CC. Pretty much the best thing that either team has is the Nami bubble. But that, you know, unless you land a really good one, isn't going to really result in anything. So, not too surprised that we're not seeing any early game aggression here. Whilst we're waiting for the meat of the game to actually begin, however, one thing I think it's interesting to point out is that Godbro has actually picked up Ignite on his Jace, which is a fairly uncommon pickup, especially against someone like Ahri. Normally, with a Jace into someone like an Ahri, you would expect to see a barrier, a heal, or an exhaust picked up, because sort of pre-level 6 is when Godbro is going to have kill potential on Ocelot, but past level 6, Ocelot is going to have that lane on lockdown, and all Godbro is really going to be able to do is push. So by picking up the Ignite, he's kind of committed to fighting even past the point where he's stronger, which is definitely an interesting decision. And it's also interesting because we've got such a heavy damage composition coming out of Gamers2 that he might find himself wanting that defensive summoner spell later on in the game. So we're going to have to see how he can abuse this Ignite during his window of opportunity where he's actually stronger.
For only $2.95
Alright then, G2 going to start off that bottom lane. A bit of a cheese on the minions, I guess. No real cheese on the enemy champions. And now Gamers2 heading up towards that top lane after helping out Jace with his minions. And of course the red buff. Siphon power coming out of Crixus. I read the skill names of Victor because I'm not used to seeing him in competitive whatsoever.
I don't think anyone is, and Steel Backmaker actually not taking that much damage due to having Janna on his team, but there's a really nice overlap of skills coming out from G2 to make sure that he's still taking poke. And obviously they have the sustain, whereas the bot lane coming out of SKP does not. So if they continue to push up like this and sustain, they will gain a lead over time. You can already see that Yuki is really out CSing Steel Backmaker, in addition to Steel Backmaker actually falling a bit low on health. So you need to be careful. He's actually afraid to go up and CS those minions because of the bubble placement by Kasing. Very good job there, and now he is already down to about 30% health. That's quite a big deal. We do see that Jace is nearby that bot lane. He might consider coming down to back them up, but it looks like for now he just wants to keep going for his camp. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Ko is actually waiting around, trying to find an opportunity to engage onto Godbro. He's been here quite a long time. He's really committing to camping there to try and get this kill. Ocelot isn't really giving it away right now, but oh man, bot lane, look at that harass.
Yeah, bubble in the bot lane, but Valkyrie is going to be pretty much enough for him to stay alive. Ku, flag and drag in that mid lane is not going to knock up only Godbro rather, so it is going to be quite alright for him. Ku sticking around, however, does dodge the shock blast. Ocelot doesn't have the range at the moment to get a charm on towards Godbro, so not too much happening after the failed gank, I guess.
Man, the G2 bot lane is just absolutely dominating SKP right now. They're 10 CS ahead, and oh, Ku coming in the mid lane again.
Oh! Flash
God having
out
a
of
flash
Godbro.
there. This is not looking good so far. They need to be careful not to let any early game advantage go the way of G2. I mean, if you look at the team compositions, really SKP has the composition that you would expect to be winning, but because Jarvan is just so ridiculously strong at the moment, he is really doing a great job of keeping pressure all over that mid lane and stopping Godbro from using the sort of the window of opportunity that he has, I was talking about earlier, where he's actually stronger than Ocelot. So it's a very wise camp coming out of Ku. It's very smartly placed, especially because both of his side lanes are actually doing well independently of any jungler interference.
Yeah, now that he knows that the flash is down, he can obviously camp even more, because either Godbro needs to be really laid back and careful about his farming, and well, as we see here, Ocelot is already starting to freeze this lane really far up that mid lane. So he's either going to be really far behind and play careful, or he's going to risk himself getting ganked because he doesn't have a flash. So it's a really bad situation at this point for Godbro.
Yeah, Godbro, I mean, once he gets a little bit more damage, he's just going to be able to use his shock blast plus acceleration gate to force the wave into the tower, unless Ocelot wants to take a lot of minion damage. But for now, you're right, the freeze coming out of Ocelot is actually going to be pretty effective due to the fact that Godbro had to go for that tier early on and can't actually instant kill the back wave of minions that Ocelot is building up here. So Godbro struggling a little bit in that middle lane right now. He is very far behind in CS. Similarly, in the bottom lane, G2 are doing equally well. In the top lane, however, we do see that Gamers2 is slightly ahead. All the bot lane, Barney D taking a lot of poke there. Wow.
Yeah, taking a lot of punishment for him, perhaps overextending a bit right there. Steel Backmaker now also trying to do what he can about farming, but so far G2 have this under control.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of, as I said, not allowing SKP to abuse the composition that they picked. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to be able to abuse their pick potential later on, because so long as they farm well, they'll still have the ability to get those picks that they're looking for. But it does mean that the game is not going to snowball out of control due to the compositional picks. And mid lane here, we actually see Rengar is starting to come to the bot lane. There is no ward This could be very bad for G2 if they're not careful. Jace, he's actually waiting around for them to push up a little bit more, I think, just in case they have a ward in that river bush, which they do. And now we're going to see him going in.
Ooh, double knock up out of the Howling Gale. Exhaust comes down instantly on towards Yuki. And there's the Valkyrie out of Steelback Maker. They're going to try and turn around on towards Cassing. Cassing flashes out. Jay's now trying to pick up that kill on towards him. Speeds himself up. Flash.
Oh.
First blood finally for Jace after a prolonged pursuit.
Yeah, that took a while. Actually see both Ocelot and Ku at the moment roaming through the bottom jungle, trying to pick off any stragglers. Maybe they think that if... Oh, actually, it scared them into going back here, and now Godbro gets charmed!
Lands the charm on towards Godbro. He's in a really big pile of trouble. Tries to dive on towards Spartacus, or Ocelot rather, but it really is not enough. And they pick up another kill, or they pick up another kill on the Rift, but they pick up the first kill for their team, so that's a good start for them as well. Ocelot going to go back here. He does have 2,000 gold, so he'll be able to pick himself up something nice.
This is exactly what I meant about Godbro having a window of opportunity to do something in the lane. After 6, he cannot compete with Ocelot. It's just impossible, because he can easily dodge everything. Although Ku needs to be careful about getting caught out here. He does actually have his ultimate
window
available,
shopping
though.
right there. Ku's going to try and run away from this one, but Jace hasn't really given up just yet. Ku may be forced to flash here. He's going to get down by that Bola Strike. Flash comes out, and he will be able to survive, but just barely.
His bravery there to not burn his flash for as long as possible nearly cost him, as Beansu did actually roam down. But in the end, all it's going to cost is blue buff, although Yuki in that bot lane getting harassed quite hard. But yeah, this blue buff getting picked up by SKP is a very nice start to this. By putting Ku behind a little bit in that jungle, it denies his ability to stop picks coming out of Jace, and obviously Jace already picking up that kill in the bot lane to set him on his way. We've seen how strong Rengar can get if left unchecked and with some early kills, so you know, if I'm G2, I'm definitely a little bit worried about that happening.
Steelback Maker now trying to put some damage down on Cassing. Barney D also getting hold of him with the Howling Gale. Both of these teams so far going up quite evenly. Slight gold lead for G2, but of course, it really isn't too significant. And Ocelot doing what he does best in that mid lane, trying to farm up, trying to push a bit with those Orbs of Deception. And, well, so far, Godbro has been forced under his turret numerous times, but Ocelot really is having a good time there with his almost 20 gold lead, or farm lead, rather.
Oh man, we actually see that Jace is in the top lane coming in here for a gank, but it does mean his blue is probably going to go. Crixus!
Oh. Throws down the gravity field, throws down the Chaos Storm on top of that. Circus might be able to survive. Oh, barely goes down. Beansu very, very low, but they do manage to pick up the kill, and that is the second kill for them, almost equalizing that gold discrepancy. And so far, it is looking good for SKP.
Yeah, I mean, G2 needs to be careful. Oh man, Yuki especially needs to be careful. Going over to that dragon buff took a lot of damage on the way, but G2 needs to be careful. If Jace gets any further ahead than this, he's going to start popping people left, right, and center, just instantly just annihilating people with his Q. It does so much damage. He's already got 2 longswords. Once he gets that brutalizer, he is going to hurt like a truck. So got to be very, very careful not to let too much of that happen. Q is actually spotted out by a ward here, so he's not going to get a chance to go for a kill here. Jace clearing that ward up by the blue buff. Nice job by him, although it does mean that he's not going to go for the gank in the bot lane straight away, as I do know that he is nearby. Thrill of the Hunt also down for the next half of its cooldown, so it's difficult for him to go in. In the mid lane, let's talk a little bit about that. We actually see that Godbro is kind of catching up in CS compared to how he was doing earlier, and that is simply because as time goes on, Shock Blast plus Acceleration Gate insta-kills waves. So he can actually keep up in CS even if he falls behind, just because, like we just saw, he can insta-kill most of those minions. But with charms like that, he takes a lot of damage. He cannot afford that. Jace getting engaged on in the jungle.
Yeah, there's the Cataclysm on towards him. Here is Ocelot with the cavalry, and they will be able to pick up the kill. He is actually going in for more lands attack towards Goldbro. Ignite goes down. Is it going to be enough? No, it is not. And they will disengage so far. Beans, who was roaming over towards that bottom lane. Obviously, Circus was trying to stop him in his tracks, and those are some really good pressure points there on towards that SKP team. Picking up 1 kill and putting down a lot of damage on Goldbro.
Yeah, the most important thing was that kill was on Jace. Oh man, bot lane, still backmaker.
Still backmaker trying to trade here. Kasing is not going to get knocked off. Beansu in that top lane, barely getting out of the gravity field. And so far, it's a lot of action, but no real deaths in these couple of skirmishes.
Yeah, I mean, taking a look at the fact that we're actually 2 for 2 at the moment, we do see a gold lead on the side of Gamer2. You know, if we look at their farm and the fact that they picked up that dragon, that is the, and the tower, that's the explanation for that. But, you know, they do have the gold lead, even though it looks like some of their lanes are struggling a little bit. Specifically that bot lane, Yuki. He's ahead in the farm, but he's constantly being pushed back, and that might give a good opportunity for Jace to come in and get another kill. It's going to be interesting to see where Jace decides to prioritize his time, because all of his lanes are struggling a little bit, and he really needs to pick a lane to try and snowball. At the moment, it looks like that might be top lane, potentially due to the fact that Victor doesn't have that much ability to get away from ganks.
Right, then it seems like the quiet and peace has returned to the Rift for a moment here. Obviously, it won't last for too long because both of these teams are looking for blood.
Oh, Barney!
And, oh, Barney getting caught there by 3 members. Cataclysm comes down, throws down the Monsoon, but it is way too late for that, and the turret is going down. The peace and quiet has gone.
Yeah, that was very quick kill picked up by Ku. Cataclysm does a lot of damage. That actually gets them their 2nd tower of the game as well, which means the gold lead is now extended to 3.2k or thereabouts in favor of G2. Really nice job. Rengar is actually spotted out by Ward here. He knows it now, but everyone's collapsing onto him.
Whoa! He gets burned down by the early DFG pickup here by Ocelot. That really helped him out right there. And, well, Jace might not try that again.
Yeah, DFG amplifying that magic damage that he takes, especially when you've actually got Victor on your team as well, is fairly disgusting. The good news for G2 is that even though, that they got their blue buff this time. Obviously, last time they actually lost their blue buff to that invade, and they know the timer of SKP's blue buff. So if they decide to go and invade that, they might pick themselves up both the blue buffs. And Jace without a blue buff is going to struggle against the Ahri, not being able to shove out those waves as quickly as he'd like. This bot tower isn't actually falling that quickly. Part of the problem with not picking up early AD on your AD carry, obviously Steel Backmaker going for that Triforce on Corki. The Sheen procs do a lot, but every other auto attack doesn't really do that much in comparison. So not able to take down that tower very quickly, and we see Ocelot roaming down here. He actually missed that ward with his sweeper. Oh man!
Teleport comes in, but he may want to cancel that one. He's way too deep here. Throws down the Killstorm, however, nonetheless on Jace. Jace taking a lot of damage. Circus being forced to flash over the wall, but here's Godbro to clean house. Picks up 1. There's 3 members enclosed here in that team. Oh, they're taking so much damage. Trying to get a kill on Beansu. Beansu flashes out. Barney D now in trouble, but they managed to pick up a kill on Jace. Nonetheless, Barney D closed in for himself. They pick up him, but it doesn't matter because Beansu comes in once again. Kasing now trying to get out for his life. Flashes out. Uses the ball. Godbro gets locked up. And Ku picks him up, but Beansu might not be done here. Flag and drag misses. Ku goes down. That's a 3-4-3 in the end after a very messy fight.
Yeah, you can't miss the flag and drag there. Beansu might have actually been at risk had it been landed on him. But what a crazy fight. I mean, towards the end of that, we really saw that one of the disadvantages of Kassadin, especially in the early game, is that you have to go in and out at kind of weird times. And it meant that if all of the members of G2 just stayed clumped up in a death ball, they could go after everyone else one by one. So very close fight. The Dragon's up in 15 seconds. That's likely we're going to be seeing the next point of contention for both of these teams. And I'd argue that at the moment, if G2 groups up, they're in a much stronger position. We see they've got a 4K or a 3K gold lead, in addition to having some really big item pickups, such as that DFG on Ocelot. The Dragon is going to get started off here, though, straight away by SKP, and not everyone is in position to deal with this.
Yeah, the Dragon is going to go down here for SKP without any contention whatsoever. And, well, good for them, because they really probably needed that one after... Well, of course, the last fight was quite even, but they were behind. They are still behind 2,000 gold, and they really need things like those Dragons. And Ku and Spartacus right now moving up towards the lane. Probably not going to grab a hold of anyone unless they face check those brushes in the jungle. But Binsu and Godbra are going to take the scenic route, and they are not going to get caught.
Yeah, the scenic route indeed. They do not want to be walking through their jungle at the moment. Although they still might get caught out here if they're not careful. Ocelot and Ku waiting around for Binsu to walk down. But he's smarter than that, taking the scenic route yet again, it looks like.
Yep, Binsu is going to survive a potential gank. Oh, they're back for more. They really want this kill on towards Binsu. Doesn't seem like he's going to give them the opportunity to grab it, though. Ocelot still waiting for that one, and finally they back away, but they might be back for more later.
Yeah, the map control that's being demonstrated by G2 here is really good. Even without that great wards, they're just so strong that they can roam about wherever they please. And they've got very good game sense of where the members are. Although Steelback Maker here...
Yep, he is going to get caught here. Ku uses the Cataclysm on towards him. He will be forced to flash if he has that one available, which he has not. Tidal Wave comes through. Steelback Maker will get caught by that one. He doesn't go down, though. So that is a Tidal Wave and a Cataclysm used on that one, and they will not be able to use those in the fight if that one erupts anytime soon.
Yeah, that was actually really well played by SKP even there, sorry. Steelback Maker managed to get close enough to his tower that it was difficult for Ku to stick on him, obviously also missing that spear. Although Jace here coming in.
Oh!
Great bubble!
No way! Expertly placed there by Kasing to deny Jace the kill down towards Yuki.
That was insane! He was stealthed, just knew that he was going to take that path onto him, or maybe not knew, but made a well-educated guess and saved his life there. That means Thrill of the Hunt is going to be going on to cooldown, which is 120 seconds at base rank. That's a fairly big deal. That's going to give G2 a lot of room to move around the map without having that being a threat. That was actually amazingly good for G2.
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant by Kasing. Now Steelback Maker all alone in that top lane. Xerxes might be looking for any type of fight here. He's just going to soak up the experience and gold, however. Throwing down the gravity field. All of those minions getting stunned up, and the death ray to finish them off. Doing honor to its name. And, well, Ocelot still in the mid lane, going to push up. Once again, it seems like the peace and quiet has returned to the Rift, but I have a feeling that it won't last for too long.
One thing that I think is kind of interesting here is that Ku's actually picked up a Hex Drinker against only the one AP champion coming out of SKP, and not only that, it's a Kassadin who's probably not going to be on him very often. It's not as if there's a lot of AoE magic damage hitting the whole team. It's pretty much just Kassadin's Void Wave, his charging up ability, and you know, Jace is going to be doing a lot of damage to him in the meantime, as will Corki, potentially even Rengar. So I'm surprised that he decided to go for the Hex Drinker rather than rushing his way towards an early, maybe a Randuin's Omen or something similar to that. However, it does give him a little bit more early game damage, and he has been making good use of that so far by trying to focus on getting picks. So it's an interesting decision. We'll have to see if it pays off in the end, because as these team fights start becoming more frequent, we're going to see if that actually ends up paying off.
Yuki here, trying to deal with all of that skill shot poke.
Oh, Binsu!
Binsu getting caught from the side, will be forced to Rift Walk out. That's going to cost him a lot of mana if he wants to Rift Walk once again. G2 trying to engage here. Ocelot actually used his Spirit Rush, so that will be on cooldown for the next 70 seconds or so. but at least they got some damage down. Binsu might be forced to back off out of this one, but it doesn't seem like G2 are going to siege up that mid lane. They are indeed going to rotate over towards that bottom lane, try and rush this one down.
Yeah, it's a really smart decision to try and do this, and if they're not careful, if they walk into this, the wave is going to be huge!
Wave comes down, Barney D instantly flashing, that's a very, very good one, but here's the thrill of the hunt on towards Xerxes. Xerxes blowing up Jace, however, bye-bye to him, straight to the death chamber. Chaos Storm right now trying to zone the SKP team as good as they can. G2 maybe sandwiched here. We do have a bit of an enclosing movement here out of the SKP team. G2 trying to put as much damage down as they can. Now trying to turn back around on towards Binsu. Binsu using that Rift Walk to get out. G2 sticking together as good as they can, but it doesn't seem like SKP are done with them just yet. Bubble comes out, as does the Shock Blast. Binsu once again moving in. Good charm on towards Steelback. He will go down. We do see the Monsoon coming out as well, but G2 are certainly not done here. Finally, a kill comes down for SKP's. Ocelot, double kill so far. Can he get the triple? No, he cannot. Godbro picks him up in the end, and it is going to be a 2 for 3.
Ocelot's definitely still got it, man. That was a really nice pickup. Had he landed that charm, maybe even able to get away, that would have been very, very impressive. But G2 played that very well. They kited SKP back into the jungle, and that is a location that SKP does not want to fight in. You do not want to fight in enclosed space against a Victor ultimate and a Nami tidal wave. Not to mention that it's easier to land charms in the jungle because there's less room for the enemy team to move. So by running into that choke point, we saw Valkyrie, Nami Flash, tons of mobility spells being burned instantly to dodge the tidal wave, and once those were down, they couldn't actually follow up Jace's engage onto the backline of G2. So even though the engage could have potentially gone well had they had that follow-up, they didn't have the follow-up because they fought in the jungle. Oh, Ku here. Taking a lot of damage.
Getting caught. Steelbacker from the side with the Valkyrie. Doesn't quite connect his rockets though, so they will not be able to pick up the kill there. On towards Ku. G2 sticking together. They had a good fight last time. They may be looking for another one here.
Yeah, and they certainly have the ability to take it. We do see that there are not cooldowns on a lot of the important spells and items. Ari's got her Spirit Rush, DFG and Zanya's up. We got Cataclysm onto Ku. You know, if they decide to fight, it could be good. Although Jace here, wow,
Xerxes throws down the Gravity Field and the Chaos Storm. He underestimates his damage. And well, he pays the price. He overestimates his damage rather, and he pays the price. Jace and the rest of SKP now moving in towards this mid lane. I don't see this tower standing for too much longer. I don't think they can actually defend this one against those 5 members of SKP. And in fact, it will go down.
Binsu is doing so much damage now that he's picked up that needlessly large rod. He is 3 for 1 for 4, only 152 CS, 2 Crixuses, 200, but it is not mattering right now. He is just chunking the priority targets of G2. That Lucian Yuki 6-0 got taken down to about half health from one of his combos, and he didn't actually even use his Rift Walk. So really the positioning here is going to be absolutely critical for G2 in these fights. If they can catch someone out or kite into a position where a Nami tidal wave, charm, that kind of thing can keep them alive, they're in a good spot. But if they get engaged onto and they don't have backup like in that situation, or if they don't have their cooldowns available, things could turn very quickly in SKP's favor.
Ku trying to scout out that brush there in that red side jungle. He'll just clear out some wards with the sweeper, and so far he is quite alright. The gold is very, very close though. 1,000 gold lead for G2 is not ideal at this point in the game.
Ooh,
but it certainly does make for an interesting match here. Tidal Wave comes through. Godbro gets caught by the charm. Ocelot being forced to use the Zonyals instantly by Jace, but he will go down. Jace that is, of course, and now Barney D getting caught. Chaos Storm comes through. Binsu in all kinds of trouble. Yuki will be trying to chase him down. Chaos Storm trying to follow up on that one, and Binsu makes it out alive, but still 3 for 0, and G2 looking strong.
That was an absolutely amazing engage coming out of Casing. He just landed the bubble onto Steel Backmaker, followed up with the wave, and although Steel Backmaker was able to jump away a little bit, there was a Jarvan who flanked them. Ku came around from that red bush and it was able to get the flank. Although Beansu going down on Yuki here, he's actually taken quite low. Needs to be careful.
Oh! Wow, the rockets out of Steelback Maker picking up the kill on towards Yuki. Didn't quite expect that one coming through. Now Beansu trying to bite off more than you can chew, possibly, as Ku turns it around and picks up the kill on towards Beansu.
Yeah, he definitely bit off more than he could chew there. Had the magic damage shield to block some of it, but when you've got Ku coming in and doing that physical damage on top of the damage coming out of Crixus, is just not really enough to deal with it. Now, it looks like we might actually see a very quick push coming out here from SKP before the regen really sets into effect. Although Ocelot coming from the side here.
Ooh, Jace is caught on the side of this team fight. Ku getting caught by the Bola strike, is not going to walk any further. Then that stops in his tracks, and they will disengage here. Shock Blast comes out just to give them a bit more damage, and at this point it is still very, very even. That last fight was really good for G2, and they do have the Baron now, of course, so they can probably siege some of those tier 2 turrets, which they haven't been able to do so just yet.
Yeah, they've actually got a 5k gold lead right now, which is fairly significant. G2 can put some pressure on right now, but they need to be careful when it comes to fighting in lanes, due mainly to the poke that's going to be coming out of Godbro and Steelback Maker. If they're not careful, they'll take a lot of damage before the fight starts, and make it so that there's a squishy target already available for Beansu or Jace to capitalize on and instantly wipe out from the fight. So they need to be careful not to take too much poke before they engage. The Baron buff will help with that due to the health regeneration. But at the moment, it looks like they're going to be rotating towards the bot lane. Beansu isn't there and doesn't have teleport. It's going to be hard for him to get there in time.
Okay, then. It seems like G2 are trying to get themselves a bit of a foothold in the SKP jungle, as they are going to try and pick up this blue buff. They are not going to get any contention there whatsoever, and that will go over to Ocelot. As right now, Ku is going to try and scout out a bit more, throws down the scrying orb, and well, so far they are doing what they want here, and SKP is not really putting up too much of a fight.
Man, Victor's gravity field is so good at pushing down towers. It's kind of like the opposite of a wind wall from Yasuo. It just blocks the ability for the defenders to come and deal with the tower push very effectively. Wow, Steelback Maker was kind of alone there. If he'd gotten cut out, that would have been very bad. But Yuki actually took a lot of poke. He needs to lifesteal up a little bit, and doesn't actually have any lifesteal except for that Doran's Blade at the moment, so it's going to be difficult for him to do that. Obviously, Casting does have some good sustain for him, though. And now they're pushing on to this tower. Are they going to be able to get it, or is there going to be an engage coming out of SKP? This next minion wave might be the decider.
They are definitely trying to siege this one down, and they will be able to get it after a long day of sieging. They are going to head home at this point, probably grab a coffee, grab some more items, or they might set up a trap here. Barney D is not going to get caught, and they move up towards that top lane to try and siege over there.
Yeah, I think this is a relatively easy siege for them to make, especially if they block off Jace from getting to the fight, which they are doing. Ocelot and Ku doing a very good job of zoning him out of that. And that was all 3 inner towers taken in quick succession. The gold lead is extended to 7.5k, it looks like, at the moment, which is a very big deal. And now it looks like they want themselves some inhibitor turrets, although Yuki really needs to pick up some lifesteal right now. He's getting poked down very hard, and if he gets engaged on, might fall really quickly.
Culling coming out there on towards Jace. He'll be forced to back off as quickly as he can. Shield comes out on the tower, but it might not actually save him. Actually, Ku is going to go in. Monsoon comes out, and they try and disengage at this point, but the turret has already gone down. It is an open fight here, and it is a 5 versus 5. Godbro gets engaged upon. Ku tries to get out, but it may not be enough. Jace looking for the kill. He will be able to do so, as he will be able to pick up the kill on towards Ku. Kasing flashing in, trying to get some more damage down. They are going to try and pick up the inhibitor here. Beansu looking for a kill, flashes out to the side, and he picks up the kill on towards Ocelot, as G2 tries to disengage desperately at this point. 5 versus 3. 2 men have already gone down. Beansu gets turned upon as he dives in, but he may be able to sacrifice his life for some more kills here. It seems like that is not going to happen here, however, as G2 still pressuring. Jace now might be in trouble, being forced to burn the flash actually as is Steelback Maker. G2 really keeping up the pressure, and they are not letting down their teammates, not letting their teammates go down in vain.
Man, the reaction speeds on these players are absolutely insane. Right there at the end, we saw Yuki actually flash over Ebola, and then Steelback Maker flash away at the last second from a skill shot as well. They're completely on form right now. The only reason that G2 is doing as well as they are is that their strategic play is so solid right now. They're rotating perfectly. They're putting themselves in positions to zone out players like Jace from getting to the towers to defend them, and it's becoming a bit of an issue for SKP. They're just not able to keep up with the rotations of G2. And Baron is up in 1 minute 20. This is likely going to be the next objective that G2 really wants to go for. They've also got the bottom inhibitor that's open, but I think at the moment fighting in the jungle is a little bit more beneficial to them than to fighting in the lane, and sort of because the waves are pushing towards them right now, it's a natural progression to push back those waves, proceed on to Baron, and start doing the Baron dance.
Yeah, the Baron is coming up in another 50 seconds or so, so that may very well be a solid possibility here for them. It is, however, littered with wards out of SKP, so they will have to clear out some of those, or most of those probably, as Kessing is already doing just that, throwing down the pink wards, not using the sweepers just yet here. No trinket wards here whatsoever anymore on G2, as they have, as all of them have a sweeping lens or a scrying orb. And of course the AD carry, red buff going over to Yuki as well, just starving SKP out of their resources, and they are doing an excellent job. 15 seconds until the Baron comes up. This can be an explosive fight.
Man, now that Yuki has that Bloodthirster, he is going to be able to siege so much more effectively, able to sustain properly as he rotates between the different lanes. Oh man, the damage from Godbro is actually very high, but they haven't been able to get enough poke down before these fights prior to this, and it looks like an engagement.
Oh, Barney D gets caught by the Cataclysm, and he is going to pay for it with his life. As right now, Beansu trying to get out of there, as G2 right now is in between SKP and their base, so they might be able to rush down that mid lane, or they may be able to rush down towards that Baron. It's always a bit risky here. They are standing on top of a ward. G2 now moving in towards that mid lane. SKP trying to pressure a bit as well. Baron is live. It is always on the board here, and it is a very risky proposition nonetheless.
Unless some very strong poke comes out of SKP, they're in a dicey situation here due to the fact that Corki does not have sustain and was quite low after that fight. The Baron is getting started out here, and actually Ocelot got chunked very hard by that. Need to be careful, but Ku's going in here.
Ooh, Jace might be getting caught here. Chaos Storm comes out. Steelback Maker going to try and help out Jace. Q is going to try and chase him down. On the other side here, both of these teams really not wanting to fight and really hesitant about losing members. Barney D has rejoined the team. Monsoon is available, so he's the team has reached its full strength almost at this point. And well, it seems like the Baron dance can go on once again.
Crixus does a lot of damage, but Beansu keeping the poke down, as is Godbro. They're really doing a good job of making sure that some of the key members on G2 are too low for them to have a full engagement. The problem here is that there's not really enough sustain on the side of SKP either, whereas they've got a Nami on the side of G2 who's just healing everyone up. This is going to be an important fight here. Are they going to be able to stop this tower from going down?
Seems like the thrill of the hunt has been used. And it goes on cooldown. So it doesn't actually manage to capitalize on that one whatsoever. It is only an 80-second cooldown, so it's not one of the longest cooldowns. He will be able to have that one up relatively shortly, but still maybe something that he would have wanted to keep up.
Yeah, something interesting about this game is that we actually see that Jace Liskinen has gone for a Banshee's Veil very early, and it does make a lot of sense due to the fact that he's facing double AP. However, he is not able to assassinate people like you normally see Rengars doing in high-level games. Normally you see them going for a Blade of the Ruined King with that Feral Flare and Brutalizer, then a Yomu's Ghost Blade, making sure that they can instant kill whoever they go on. And there are a lot of targets that he would normally be able to instant kill. The problem is that now that both of the solo lanes have their Zhonya's, he can't do that so effectively, and he has been forced to go with Banshee's Veil rather than something a bit more back and forth like a Hex Drinker. And I feel like Jace at this point isn't really doing enough. I'm not even sure I'd be that scared of Thrill of the Hunt at this point.
That is a fair point. Ocelot is actually backing away here. May not want that. Oh, Engage comes in. That is a beautiful Cataclysm. Monsoon comes out. Is going to try and heal them up as fast as they can, but Barney D is going to pay the price. Double kill for Ocelot. Now looking for the triple in the form of Godro. May not be able to get it. Binsu from the side. Oh, Yuki will be able to pick up the kill. However, though, and that is going to leave them with an open inhibitor turret.
That was such an awesome engage from Ku. He actually used the flash at the end of his flag and drag to extend the knockup range, meaning he hit everyone before the Cataclysm. Binsu taken very low, has to get forced away there. There's going to be an inhibitor falling in. They actually might be able to push for the Nexus here if SKP doesn't do something very soon. Oh, he got
getting pulled back in, and he will go down. That is indeed going to be probably enough for them to finish off the Nexus here. 2 Nexus here have already gone down, and it is indeed going to be G2 to take game 1 in this series, one step closer, while Binsu goes down to Ocelot, one step closer to those semi-finals with one beautiful game.
That was awesome. G2